Welcome, ghouls, demons, and faux weird ones. And here we are for book number 9 of the Tale Behind the Weird Tales series that I'm doing. And oh my gosh, I'm excited for when I get into a good rhythm of doing this. This whole playing catch up and like, oh, I had this idea, so now I got to backtrack and do it for all of my previous works. It's maybe insane. There's been a lesson that I don't know if I'm avoiding or if I'm just being stubborn about it. But I do this with everything. It's like, oh, well, if I'm going to start this new thing, then I need to backtrack. Like, I couldn't just start with book 19 and start going behind it. And I didn't like my 2-minute videos that I did for a few of my stories, like on TikTok and stuff, which I believe are in my shorts, like on YouTube, and just really trying to organize exactly how I want to do this is obnoxious in so many ways. So here is to going with the flow for this book that is dedicated to a lot of Pisces energy. So here we go. All right. So book number 9, The Crowned Mare of the Void of Despair by Sarah Odell. So this is a story that I wrote for my sister-in-law, Stephanie. Now, I have 2 sister-in-laws named Stephanie. My little brother's Stephanie, and then my husband's sister, Stephanie. This is for my husband's sister, Stephanie. She is a Pisces. And I wanted to write her something. It started around Thanksgiving. I think I guess that's when like the seed was planted, but it really initiated Christmas of 2024. It was Christmas where we had Christmas with her and my in-laws. It was the first time in years that my husband, his sister, and his parents and everybody was all together for Christmas. And so it was a really big deal to my sister-in-law for us to go down to Mississippi and have that experience with her. My mother-in-law has dementia. My father-in-law is grumpy and difficult in a variety of ways. And so this was significant. Getting everybody together, try to make it as smooth and wonderful as possible. And overall, I would say it was pretty good. It was, oh man, there was a lot of emotion that came up from it. There was a lot of discomfort. It wasn't a Hallmark perfect picture family Christmas. And I know that that's something like my sister-in-law really, really dreams of, just being that Pisces nature. And I don't want to like misspeak in what I'm trying to express. But I opened up to her a lot that Christmas trip. Just some difficulties I was having with my husband, her brother. I was really kind of seeking emotional advice, validation on my experience. Was tired of feeling like delusional. And I really felt like my husband's side of the family was just misunderstanding me, misrepresenting me, misjudging me. It was really hard. I mean, my family doesn't like my husband, so it could have been a lot of projection and fear of like, well, his family's not gonna like me either. For a variety of reasons, are the relationship dynamics between me and my in-laws have been difficult. But my sister-in-law, Stephanie, I know she really tried. I know she really cares. And so there's a lot of miscommunication between us. I don't want to say drama, but I was making decisions and changes for my life that were directly affecting my husband. And I know she was just being a protective older sister. And it goes into their upbringing and all of the above. And so this story kind of blossomed from this like deep emotional conversation that I ended up having with Stephanie. And I feel like it brought a lot of closure and peace and, I don't know, beauty between her and I, like woman to woman, sister to sister, like all of these different emotions and expressions. And I was really grateful for that conversation that we had. Like I really got to cry, and she didn't make me feel crazy. I was kind of worried that she might. It got to a point for a while where I didn't reach out to her. I don't talk to her. I shut everybody out. It wasn't personal to her. I was shutting everybody out who wasn't obviously and loudly in support of me or my relationship or anything. Like if anyone was even slightly or perceived to be committed to misunderstanding me, they were blocked, they were ghosted, they were silenced. I did probably the more unhealthy traits of like an Aquarius, but I also stand on like I did what I did for a reason, and it was for me to stick up for myself, which was not perfect. As like the Pisces Saturn return was really teaching me how bad I am with setting boundaries because it's like I didn't assert myself in I guess the right way at first, and then it would just kind of progressively build up because I'm trying to keep the peace, just kind of being, I mean, airy about it, being Aquarius about it, being nonchalant about things, delusional if you want to get into like my Pisces Venus and other aspects, if we want to blame astrology. But generally speaking, there was a lot of miscommunication, and I didn't feel like I was being represented fairly. I didn't think my husband was representing me fairly. I don't think I was representing myself fairly. I think people were really misconstruing a lot that I was posting and doing online, or like the reasons, the intention behind what I was trying to do, especially on a deeply spiritual plane. And everyone's like, oh, Sarah, I don't agree with like Sarah's decisions, and it's caused like a lot of suffering and chaos, and rightfully so. I can't say that I don't understand people's perceptions and criticisms and all of the above, but like I really needed unconditional love and support for what I was doing, why I was making the changes that I was making, and why I was willing to sacrifice it all. And I guess, I was going to go down with my ship, and I expected my husband to go down with me. And I think that bothered that side of the family, and rightfully so. I'm not saying I don't understand their protection, but I just don't think it was represented fairly. So that's kind of like the stuff that's been going on in like the dynamics. And I know she was really hurt that I blocked her from everything. And I was like, listen, I no like I don't want no evil eye. I don't need people seeing my stuff, rolling their eyes or judging. I don't know if you're doing that, but I don't feel loved and supported. And so you were, a casualty just like the rest of them. Like maybe inappropriately were you grouped in with everybody. I will admit that, but I got to bare my soul about how I felt. And I felt like it worked out really well. I think we both kind of needed to cry it out and be honest about where we both were within our I guess personal journeys. Like there's a lot of mirror. My sister-in-law and I have like, it's not a lot of similarities. We're very different people, but we related to each other on like an emotional level, on I guess a psychic level, a spiritual level. I could see some similarities and patterns on what we both were trying to do, and we were both taking different approaches to it, and we both wanted, I guess, our approach to be the right approach, and all of the different complexities that go into dynamics, especially with in-laws. And so anyway, Christmas, like I felt into her. She asked me to do a reading for her, which was that was huge for me. I felt a lot of love and support and trust that she asked me to do a reading. I also kind of felt like it was like a test, and I'm not saying that it was, but like I felt this pressure because I knew that how close my husband and his sister were. I didn't want to break up their relationship. I wanted them to stay close. I didn't want to be this wedge between everybody. But at the same time, I had an expectation that if I'm your wife, you're choosing me over everybody, no matter what. And so I'm in a really difficult headspace of everything that I'm trying to juggle. And so she had me do a reading for her. She gave me a lot of compliments. It was a really good reading. There was a lot of emotion, and because of that reading, it sparked an idea of a story. And because like the whole point of my stories are to be deeply, deeply healing. And when I felt into it, and I got the story, I kind of connected into just so many, I guess, again, mirroring similarities. Her dad's a Scorpio. I have an Aquarius in the 8th house. My grandfather's a Scorpio moon. My little brother's a Scorpio. There's some scorpionic energy. And so like, I could see where my father-in-law really triggered me because of those connections. And like she's talking about her trauma and her upbringing, which I see in chat. And I'm kind of not giving her credit for what she experienced because I wasn't aware of the trauma she experienced. And so there was a lot of everybody not being fair to anybody. And kind of everyone, not, I don't want to say everyone was getting stuck in their victimization, but I don't know a better way to explain it. Like that kind of highlights, like the martyr of like Pisces energy. And there's been a lot of heavy Pisces energy collectively. So there would be collective themes, and on top of all the bridges and the karma of why our souls are dancing together and having this experience anyway, right? So there was just a lot going on. I remember just like reflecting upon all of it and trying to I do my part, fit my role, and do what I needed to do. And through that, there was it wasn't just like it became more than just like professionalism or this like spiritual duty, which I feel like I get trapped in a lot of situations. I have to put on my prophet hat, my oracle hat. I have to detach and I have to like play my part. That mask, it went away and it became, I don't have to put that role on. I don't have to play that part when I don't want to. That was what I learned from this. I learned that like I think my problem was that I really wanted to be there for the family and then they wouldn't let me. And it's more lessons of like forcing myself onto people and other complexities. There's a lot that went into the emotion behind the story that leads up to the reading and this harmonious conversation. Like it was deeply healing. I feel a lot closer to my sister-in-law. I can't speak for her, but I would feel like we mended a big part of our relationship. And then ancestrally, I think that we both healed a decent amount of trauma within both of our like inner children, all the way to the dynamic that we were kind of fighting with moment with between my husband um, and all of these other things. I wrote this story. She's a horse girl. She's a horse girly. She has a nice little like farm ranch like property. I don't know what you would technically call it, but she has a bunch of horses and they do barrel, her daughter does barrel racing and they're big in like the rodeo and all of this stuff. And her name's Stephanie, which means like crowned or anointed one. And that's why it's the crowned mare of the void of despair. So the void is also a lot of Pisces energy. Pisces is the end of the world as we know it. It's the flood, it's the abyss, it's everything and nothing. It's the alpha, it's the omega. There's a lot of vast size. I'm just picturing like, I don't know the word for it, just a lot. It just be weird and annoying about it to summarize it. There's such a vast spectrum that is Pisces. It's the infinite of dreams and possibilities, and it's real easy to get lost in the delusion and the murkiness of the water, and it's learning instinct. And so there's a lot of lessons. So I don't blame myself. I don't blame Stephanie. I don't blame my in-laws. I don't blame my husband. The situation obviously manifested in a way that it did within these astrological themes that cannot be denied within like the birth chart experiences and other, I guess, spiritual insights. Some of it psychedelic induced, from certain meditations or mushroom trips that I've done. So a lot of this stuff is also sober. Like I just want to clarify with people, I bring up mushrooms and stuff a lot and things really trippy and dreamy in my expression and in my brain, but there's a lot of things that I do sober. So I bridge all of it. Like these are things that occurred soberly and then also appeared in like meditation. That was either sober meditation or psychedelic meditation or like other just in trance states. So it's really complex energy to navigate, to swim through. And that's kind of what I wanted to come through with this story. She loves the never ending story, and she named her horse Artax, right? That's right. After the movie, like, so she has a deep connection to that. And I mean, I would argue that that's like a deeply psychedelic Pisces related movie as well. And I wanted there to be healing for her. I wanted to pass the torch, because she has a lot of love to give, and I could understand where she's was doing the same thing that I've been doing. It's giving so much to others and not enough to ourselves, and desperately wanting to heal and desperately wanting to live a life of our dreams, and also realizing that her and I have different dreams, which is perfectly okay. But I think it's also understanding, like, her brother, my husband, has different dreams. Like, it was accepting people's differences. There's a lot of surfacing of a lot of shadows, which at this time that we're there, I believe that's when the anglerfish, like, was rising to the surface. That was like a viral moment online. And then I also believe that it was around the time of the Nosferatu movie, and like the Catholic Church, like, talking about like the crypt the of Satan or Lucifer or whatever. Like, there's some like weird shadow things like being brought to the light, and I feel like that we were experiencing that ancestrally within the merging of our family dynamics. And so I wanted to honor that. A lot of my main character stories, like, they all have like a spiritual and emotional tale that kind of leads up to their creation. And then I try to do my best to summarize the wisdom in the story on top of like things that came through intuitively for me when I did my sister-in-law's reading, and just what beautiful art piece did I want to leave behind that left a connection between the two of us, no matter what happens with the rest of our relationship and family dynamics and all the above. What could be a good anchor into our connection, our truth, our healing, our bridge? What could be a bridge through art? And she's a beautiful artist. Oh my God. Now, she could be a great illustrator for me if she wanted to. There's no pressure for anyone to do anything for me, but she's a beautiful artist, and I would love to see her reconnect to her artistry and other aspects of her life. And so that was like another huge component in writing the story for her. You know, I wanted to leave her with something that inspired her to continue healing, to continue evolving, and to choose herself. And for a lot of women in particular, I know there's aspects to men and things like that, but for me, I've been really feeling a lot of it on the feminine plane, of where women really need to choose themselves and the life that they once lived, not the life that they've been that they have to live, or coerced to live, or forced to live for a variety of abusive patriarchal reasonings, right? And making a stand for like what you deserve, and not being the man of the family. Like, it's so many women are like the men of their household, and it's just a lot of shattering of illusions, right? With this Pisces energy. And so the story goes through is very similar. I'm not going to deny any of the connections to the Neverending Story. That was a huge inspiration. I wanted those symbolic themes for her to bridge, because there's a reason why that's her favorite movie. There's a reason behind it as a child to really remember the impact of that. I mean, so much enough that she named her horse after the horse in there. Like, there's everything within it. Um, and yeah, it goes into, you know, fighting a monster, and the monster is there's a lot of water themes in here. So there's a scorpionic water monster, and just a beautiful lesson of transformation and blossoming. So there's similar like caterpillar to butterfly essence, but in her own way. I don't want to ruin too much of the symbolism within the story. And so it's the Mare realizing like the leadership role that she has. Everyone associates like with, oh, the stallion and this and that. And there's a lot of like, I'm trying like puffing my chest, like masculine, like strength that people often forget the power and the necessity of the leadership role of the feminine. And there's a lot of deep themes in here that is said very deep, completely summarized. Like I don't feel like the detail in the story doesn't do it justice. Like it is so, which is very Pisces, right? Like you see Pisces at the surface and then you can see, and then it gets dark and then it gets dark. It's obviously a Pisces story with what's at the surface level versus what's deep at the core root of it. And I think that that's what makes it beautiful. And I, it's one of my like a lot of my stories are very colorful. This one was the first like more rainbow, full spectrum-y kind of vibe that I put behind it. And it was really out of my comfort zone because I wanted to keep like the oceanic themes, but then like she's also like a horse girly. And so I was trying to keep, I wanted that like meadow aspect, which always reminds me of like more Taurus. So I don't know if she has any like Taurus placements. I don't fully know her birth chart, but it would make sense for me if she does have Taurus energy, why there was like some moments being triggered by her and our relationship dynamic because of my mother's Taurus moon or my ex and his like triple Taurus placements and all these other like kind of traumatic themes that I have with like Taurus energy. I mean, I'm a Leo moon in the second house, so I feel like that just kind of haunts me in a way. And there's a lot for me to overcome. So writing the story was for my own energetic like release, alignment, and healing on top of extending that torch to her to receive. So the design of it, because I'm not very country, I love horses and I do have my own like horse girly side, but it's more Sleepy Hollow. It's not in the way that her aesthetic is. So the challenge for me to tap into this aesthetic and create something that was completely opposite of me in almost every way. And still, feel confident that it was beautiful. Because it was so out of my element, I was worried I was being cheesy. I was worried I was because, like, so for me, something that was annoying growing up is, I'm this like alternative goth girly pop, and all anyone could relate to give to me was Nightmare Before Christmas. And like, I feel like every alternative girl or person, not just girl, but feels that way. It's like, they don't know how to relate to you, so they're just gonna go to Hot Topic or they're gonna go to Walgreens or wherever has like Halloween stuff, and they're gonna give you just a bunch of Night Before Christmas themed everything because that's the only connection that they have that makes them feel safe to dabble in your interests. And so I didn't want to do that with her story with the horse girly thing with the cowboy boots and uh, the horseshoes and everything. But I also wanted to make sure, because I asked her favorite horse, like the coloring or like the breed. Like I not the only horse I know is Black Beauty, and I want a black horse, and I love riding horses, but like it's a completely different connection. And so I'm trying to expand my connection to horses, like in the energy of horse, which I feel like there's so much you can learn from that spirit totem. So I would say, and this has come up in a few different readings and insights and other things, and obviously my connection to my hellhounds over here and like Hecate and everything. I have like a dog spirit, a wolf spirit energy. There is like that connection. Horse is completely different, and my sister-in-law definitely has that horse energy. And anyone who knows anything about horses, you really have to build their trust. They're not very trusting. Or dogs, they're pretty unconditional, like immediately until they're traumatized. And then that kind of becomes like a different story where horses, you have to earn their trust. Like they don't trust you right out the gate. And it's real easy to lose their trust. They're, kind of skittish. And I can see how it relates to Pisces. I mean that in a complimentary way. Like, they say Pisces is all about like escapism and like they're quick to like run away. Similar kind of energy. So, um, anyway, I wanted to highlight all the themes and connect to the animal spirit, which she has graciously guided me through in a lot of ways, which also reconnected me with an inner child side of me who is connected to horses, but again, in a different way and in a way that wasn't supported. And so again, more tennising of themes back and forth. Like my husband's ancestral line definitely mirrors mine. It's parallel in a lot of ways, and not just with him and but with everybody. I could go on and on and on, but the more I've learned about ancestry, the astrology in my ancestry, the more I learn about his ancestry and the astrology of his ancestry. Like, it's kind of eerie how things have matched and lined up in that way. So, anyway, a lot of horse element, and I think that's beautiful for us, like going into the year of the horse coming up here very soon. But yeah, so I'm gonna read the dedication. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about this story. Yeah, it's a deep story. Like you said, you could read, I feel like you could read this fable, fairy tale 100 different times and get something different out of it each time. My friend Todd, when he read it, he couldn't believe the complexities of the depth of the multitude of things that he saw within it. You have to be open to seeing it. If you're only going to look at the surface, you're only going to see the surface. But if you can connect to the symbolism of the themes and dive deep into the abyss, I think you'd be surprised at what comes up. But it's definitely water element. It's definitely karmic and ancestral and deeply healing. It's meant to be emotional, even in its own potentially like kind of cheesy way. So, with that, The Crowned Mare of the Void of Despair by Sarah Odell. I would like to dedicate this fairy tale to my loving, passionate, and free-spirited sister-in-law, Stephanie. May you break free from the chains of conditioned domesticity and rekindle the flames of your Mustang soul. May you allow your sorry. May you allow your horn to shine. May you receive just as much love as you gift to the world. And may you transform your life into the unicorn essence of your wildest dreams. Love, Sarah. But yeah, I know she loved the book. I know she thought it was great. I hope the story continues to blossom and grow and initiate her. Again, like all the stories are not, it's not supposed to be one initiation. It's something I want people to carry with them through different phases of their life. I want it to grow with them. And that's why I like to highlight the complexities and the depth and the layers of everything. Because I wouldn't say I'm an ogre, but I'm definitely an onion, and I have a lot of layers. Everything has a lot of layers. Nothing is as simple as it seems to me, and so that's why I felt like it was really important to kind of talk about the personal, emotional, drama of like within like the relationship. And I firmly do believe that if two people are willing and want to, you can mend any harm that and miscommunication and all delusion, illusion, all of it that comes into like relationships. There is a way to embody the full spectrum and live in harmony. Like the ocean, like I just think of all the different critters that harmonize in the ocean or in other environments. Humanity seems to be the only one that doesn't fully coexist, and that's not to negate predators. There is a natural like food chain that I'm not in denial of, but there's still a harmony. And I think that that's like the dreamy essence of Pisces that refuses to give up on the dream life, on the harmony of everything. But you have to clear out the murkiness of the water in order for you to get a clear vision. And so with that, as we're closing out the age of Pisces, or we have, it depends on your argument, depends on your theory. We're either at the very tail end of the age of Pisces, or we've already just been in the beginning of the age of Aquarius. doesn't matter. We've been through the dark ages. We've been in some deep, murky waters, and things are symbolically coming up to the surface. You know, the anglerfish really highlighted that art, life imitates art, art imitates life. There's reasons that everything manifests in the way that it does. So I think we're moving into an age of love and light, to be obnoxious about it, which is like what I feel like is a lot of Aquarian energy within like the 11th house. How does the collective merge together in harmony? So you have Libra, Aquarius, but then you also have Pisces on an emotional plane. How do we hold space for the vast spectrum of emotions and expression and art and creation? And that's what I hope to pass on, teach, share, express within this story. For my beautiful sister-in-law who inspired it by being one of the few people being open and willing to have a really emotional conversation with me, to allow me to be transparent and speak my side of the story, and honor it, despite her own personal opinions or whatever. She didn't make me feel unwelcome. She made me feel really heard and seen on an emotional level that I have not experienced before. And I feel like that's the sensitivity of Pisces, and also like the superpower of Pisces energy, like in a, you know, in a polaric aspect of Pisces. That would be like the peak of it, right? So anyway, I think that that is everything about the story. So if you want to read the story, if you want to read the tale, you can subscribe to my blog and you get access to everything that I self-publish. I have a lot of content on the subscription, on the monthly, yearly, or lifetime perspective. Or you can buy each story a digital copy of it in the store. And physical copies I can order for Canva. If you want to invest in me and have a physical copy, I reach out. I'm more than welcome to get one printed out for you while I'm going through the process of finding a better system and approach to printing physical books. So with that, The Crowned Mare of the Void of Despair by Sarah O'Dell. Thanks for yapping. And that is the tale behind the weird tale.